Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Rajmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Mochi Veda Vivagine Vyomabda Vyaptadhyaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om, Namaste. Welcome to our Panchadasi class. We begin with some questions, if any. If there are no questions, we can jump straight to answers if we have any answers. And then if we don't have questions, if we don't have answers, we can go home because we are done, we have understood. Okay, just to make sure that I can hear you. Can you say something there? Because you guys have the microphone closed, yeah. Can you say hi, Mark?
Hello. Can
Okay.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Alinda.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
We hear you, as we say. We go to Panchadasi. We are on the final verse, one or two verse, and a little recap, summary, and then we will go into the next chapter, which is chapter 4. So as we know, Panchadasi means 15 chapters. Panchadasi, 15 chapters. And this book here is the book that Ramji has compiled. It does not go all the way to the end of Panchadasi. So we have committed to finish this book. And then if we want to move further to the last 5 verses, we would have to move into another text of Swami Paramarthananda, in which he unfolds extensively, as always, the last 5 verses as well. Okay? We'll see it later on. The verse today is the verse 41. The limitless self, page 113. The limitless self is called an individual when it is associated with the 5 sheaths, just as a man is called a father when it is associated with his son, and it's called a grandfather when it is associated to his grandson. A man is neither a father nor a grandfather when considered apart from his son and his grandson. So the self is neither God nor the individual jiva when it is discriminated from Maya and the 5 sheaths. The self is neither Ishvara nor the individual when it is separated. So better said, discriminated, because we cannot really put it as, separate the self from anything, because everything is contained in the self. So when it's discriminated from Maya and its effects, the effects is Ishvara, Jiva, and the 5 sheaths. So as we can see, it's a dense, beautiful verse that presents this analogy It's a very simple analogy. So we play different roles, in society. And then a man can be seen as a father when in relationship to his son. But the same man is seen as a son when in relation to his father. You understand? So what is this man? Is this man a father, a grandfather, or is this man is a husband or a son? Okay. So we can see here that the man is a man. The nature of the man is the same, but somehow it appears performing different functions or how could we say, roles, depending on the circumstance. The same way we have consciousness, we have the self, and then the self is one and the same. But when it associates with the power of Maya, it becomes what? It becomes Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagata. So, and then when the Jiva comes into place, it becomes this human consciousness, experience the world through these 5 levels of human experience, the so-called 5 koshas or 5 sheaths. Okay, so everything appears when consciousness is in association with the power of Maya, and then consciousness is going to appear as Ishvara, as a Jiva, and as the world, by which the 5 organs of experience develop to connect themselves with the world. So all of that is phenomenal. And what is the self? The self is easily confused with Ishvara many times. It's confused with Jiva, and then the 5 sheaths, the 3 bodies. All of that is confused, But the father and the grandfather and the son and the husband, knowing itself to be just a man, we never get confused by the roles or the labels it takes, due to the perspectives or angles or associations or relations he has. So the man is never confused. So why we get so confused? Why consciousness appears to be confused? It does not get itself confused, but consciousness appearing as the individual, unfortunately, is confused when it comes to its attention that it is consciousness and it is of the nature of limitlessness and completion. So when the Jivatma hear that, learn of that, and then there is confusion, Before, the confusion was totally ignorant, because the samsaris, they don't even get into all these confusions, okay? They just take the self to be the body, take the self to be the energies, take the self to be the emotions, takes the I to be all those different human experience. You understand? So I know this is me, heart, memory, this is me, everything. It claims everything to be the self, the I. So when we come to Vedanta and then we learn to discriminate, and then we see that it's simple. The analysis is very simple, but yet we need to do some work not to again and again make this confusion, superimposing the self on these different levels of human experience, the 5 sheaths. I believe, I am my emotions, I feel so and so. I am my pranas, and I am my digestion, I am constipated, So we talk in terms of the self, and even in relation to our physiological system, say my physiological systems, I, my emotions, I, Jesus. So it's a total confusion. And not that we should stop speaking on those lines, but deep inside we should know, as good Vedantins, that I'm not a grandfather, I'm not a father, I'm not a husband, I'm not a wife. I am what? I'm a human being, you know, and deeper, I'm not a human being. I'm not Ishwara. I'm not Jagat. I'm not none of this. And I'm none of Jiva's experience either, you know. I am limitless consciousness, you know. So the self is neither God nor the individual, you know, because the self needs to come up with a creator in order to have the creation, and the creator, the individual, the agent. So it's the self is none of those three. Is neither Ishwara, nor Jiva, nor Jagata. Once it is really discriminated from what? From the three powers of Maya, the three gunas, the three energy that projects Ishwara, Jiva, and Jagat. So, but it's not really our problem. Okay, but the samsari, they are trapped in samsara. We don't have any clue because the identification, the superimposition of their humanity as the I on the self is an unconscious, ongoing exercise, you know, that traps one in samsara. So now we are doing our work. We understand this language of the Upanishads, and we are just making sure that we are not tricked by Maya here and there, because Maya is really quite something, you know. It's the greatest illusionist. And again, we have to remain vigilant not to fall for this beginningless ignorance, as we say. Anything else about this paragraph? Any insights coming from you? Any questions?
Yes, in a way, no, not a question, but in a way it clarifies me, because when we see the human being, that can be a grandfather, a husband, a father, a son, it can be a lot of things. You understand also better also the difference between why consciousness, it's also the same as all the names and forms that we see, no? Because like the human being, it's a higher reality well, I don't know the word, but paragonated with the different roles of the human being. So somehow it's a good, I find it a good
Can you try
analysis.
again? I had some trouble to understand your.
Yeah, because I don't find that word an important word, but okay.
Okay.
No, the fact that seeing the human being is when you see a father, a husband,
Yeah.
and all these, the son, the father, it's like it's not in the same level of the human being, you know, because the human being is
It's the
it's every, no, the human being, it's like the ocean and the wave, consciousness, and all the names and form that we have. So it is a good insight. It gives me this good insight.
Human being is a more fundamental nature, you know, and
yeah,
then this
exactly.
more fundamental nature appears as in relation to other factors, you know, appears by different names, you know, but fundamentally the essence is I am a human being. The same way I am consciousness, even if I appear as the creator, the creation, and the creature, I'm consciousness, you know. And who can have this knowledge? It's not Ishwara, you know, and because Ishwara cannot have this knowledge because Ishwara is already pure knowledge. Knowledge is relevant only at the background of ignorance. So Jagata is absolutely inert and knows nothing. So the only other principle that can have this knowledge, you know, is the Jivatma. Então, this is all for us so that we can understand that I consciousness, I'm not Ishwara, the creator, I am not the Jiva, and I'm not Jagata. Now, I am my fundamental, essential nature, which is consciousness. The same way the husband, the son, the father, and the grandfather, they are fundamentally, essentially, intrinsically they are just a human being. Huh? That was a good insight for you. Huh?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, Vedanta works a lot through these analogies, these examples, because it's the only way we can try to describe the nature of the self. Because being of a different order of reality, but still, being responsible for this apparent order of reality, being the substratum, or being that which, provides the background for this phenomenal world to appear. Okay, it needs to be described somehow on some funny ways like this one. Okay, what is the essential nature of the grandfather and the father and so on, and then what's the true essential nature of this human being? Very nice. So the following verse: the one who knows awareness as it is becomes awareness. Awareness is not born, so there is no rebirth or death for the one who knows his or her nature to be awareness. So the one who knows awareness or consciousness as it is, this as it is very interesting. So because there is so much misconception about what consciousness is, and then the verse there has to make it clear. One who really knows awareness, but knows as it really is, not as some human consciousness or some intellectual functions or mental functions, emotional function. One who knows consciousness in its purity as it is. So when you know consciousness in its purity, what happens? In which way you can know consciousness in its purity as it is? In which way we can know consciousness in its purity as it is? How can we know it?
Direct knowledge.
Yeah.
That's the only.
Yeah. So you can know the one who knows consciousness in its purity as it is can only know consciousness in its purity as it is, as himself, as herself. You understand? You cannot know consciousness as it is unless you realize that it is myself. You understand? So, and then it says, it is like that person becomes consciousness, but it's not like it became consciousness. It just realized I am consciousness. In other words, I can only know consciousness by realizing that I am this consciousness. I am that consciousness. I am this light of consciousness. This light of consciousness that before or under the spell of Maya or avidya, I was not knowing myself. Okay, I was like, oh, I heard that there is a great thing called the self. Okay, what is the self? And then I was looking at myself from the psychological angle, physical angle, energetic angle, all this emotional, all the 5 sheaths angles. I'm trying to find the self. Okay, because this is myself. The identification is really profound. But then when I really come to the point of wanting to know consciousness as it is, in its purity, I can only know by realize I am that I am. I am that I am that consciousness. There is no other ways. You understand, Claudia? Was this clear? And then there are some side effects or byproducts. Once you know consciousness in its purity, not as the intellect, not as its emotional body, memory system, thoughts, process, notions, and we can go through all the 5 sheets. Once I really know the I in its pure essence, I can only know by realizing what I am, this consciousness that I have been searching for. That's the only way we can know. We can never know otherwise. And then the consequence is that since this consciousness, once you understand that this consciousness that you are searching, this self, this I, is always ever present, and it's something that belongs to another order in which this apparent order is projected. Once you understand that, you know that this I that I just realized that is my true self is beyond time, is not subject to time. It is not subject to birth and death. It's immortal, okay? Was never born. So, and then understanding that I know consciousness and I know that I am it, because I'm not the intellect, none of other shits, okay? Once I know it, and then I know, oh my God, and by the way, I am Satya. What it means? It means that this consciousness is never subject to beginning, middle, and end, never born and never die. So what is the consequence? There is no karma for this consciousness, and there is no birth, there is no doership, and there is no rebirth. Because rebirth, which is the focus here, there is no rebirth. Why? Because rebirth depends on birth and death. And since I am not subject to a beginning, I was never born. I was never born. It's one of the statements from the time of Osho Rajneesh. When he left his body, he gave instructions to his students or devotees to write down on his tomb. They say Osho Rajneesh was never born and never died. Okay, so what it means? So I am consciousness, but since he did not give any teaching to us, he said, like, never born, never died. I only visit this place from this time to time. Okay, which was a bit confusing. I only visit this place because consciousness is not a karta, that's not a doer, it's not a tourist, it does not travel. So we always remain in confusion around initiating teachers such as Osho Rajneesh. I hope I did not offend anybody. Not you four, but I will offend someone out there. If anybody, thanks God nobody watches those videos. In Brazil, I get already enough trouble because other people watch it. But in English, at least in English, I am immune against this upset. So awareness is not born, so there is no question of rebirth or death for the one who knows his or her true nature. So again, what is self-knowledge? Is to know your true nature. Okay. Oh, self-knowledge, self-investigation, self-discovery. Everybody thinks in terms of the 5 sheaths. I want to know myself by those levels of human experience. So that, oh yes, I know my emotional sheets, I know my psychological sheets, I know my intellectual sheet. So we think that this is self-investigation, self-discovery. But this is not the self-investigation, the self-inquiry that Vedanta means. Vedanta talks about most fundamental discrimination between pure limitless consciousness as it is from intellect and all other sheets. We identify, we define, we extract identities from these different levels of human experience. The word becoming does not imply an experiencing change. So what is the change there? Oh my God, so I'm doing all this work because I want to have this knowledge, I want it to click so that I have this firm conviction. But then it says here, becoming does not mean that you become something that you are not before. I say, oh, what is the big deal then? If before I was small, limited, by all means, limit by my very talents and qualities and attributes. And then after, I'm still limited. Okay, I'm still limited. So what's the big deal? There is no change, experiential change. So what is the change? The change is a change of identity, of status. Okay, before I was saying, I am the body, I am the mind, I am the emotion. Now I say I am a limitless consciousness. So it's just a change of identity. Okay, Vedanta is purely, one time I said, is the ultimate psychology, because people go to psychologists because they have identity crisis, emotional crisis. They don't know who they are. They are suffering of all kinds of divisions, or confusions. And Vedanta brings us to our ultimate true identity. Okay. So what is the change? There is no experiential change. There is a change of identity. Now I know my true identity. I claim it, and but I don't experience anything different. It's not becoming and then becoming. Ooh, now I am in ecstasy 24/7. Now I became Brahman. I am vast, infinite Brahman. So no. There is no experiential change, just a change in identity, okay? So it's just the way I see myself. When you go to introduce yourself to somebody else, you're going to introduce yourself. I am Claudio, and I am a professional, this and that. I am a father. I have, So when you know your true identity, so you can introduce yourself in our small groups of Vedanta. We can introduce ourselves as our true nature. That is a statement of freedom. We used to do it around Papaji. Papaji, people would have insight and say, oh, let me come, Papaji, let me come. And you go there. Yes, I am that. I am consciousness. And then everybody, hey, my soul, one more has declared, I have established my identity. I got it. Even if it's 1 second for 1 minute, even if I forget, but at least when I get it, I want to make some noise and say, yes, this is my true identity. Okay. So we just claim it. So it's just a change in identity. So the experience is the same, meaning to say the world does not change. The problems do not go away. You just deal better with the problems of the world. You deal actually much better with the problematic world, okay? And you have a much better resolution about your experience of yourself. Because when you say, I myself, immediately you are transferred to Satya and say, I myself, I'm free of all of that. You have a very nice resolution in the way you experience yourself, because you see yourself as consciousness, interacting with the world through this body-mind complex, and you are friendly and gentle with this instrument, and you are not attached as before. You are detached, and you educate this body-mind complex by telling them, oh, no, you go back to the scriptures and do some more work with the scriptures and behave. So we have this better relationship with our Jiva nature. And of course, we have redefined our identity as consciousness. So in a way, the world looks much nicer, much shinier, shining world, looks much more beautiful when you have this change of identity, when you realize, is it a change of identity? No. You see, words are very confusing. It's not a change. It's just a removal of a misidentification with the five sheaths, with the body, the three bodies, the body-mind complex. You did not even change your identity before your awareness. And then during the process of self-inquiry, your awareness, and now that you got this clear, doubtless knowledge, oh my God, I was always awareness. But it somehow, it appears as a shift of identity from a mistaken identity, which was illusory, or it was a trip, okay? And then to your real identity. It's like a hard and fast conviction. I am limitless, non-dual, ordinary, the favorite word of Ramji, ordinary, unconcerned, actionless awareness. This unconcerned is a word that, overall the Yanni is not much concerned, okay? But not to say that it is really 100% absolutely unconcerned, okay? Because once humanity hangs around a little bit, when you see, you may be a little bit, but it's not something that disturbs the mind of the Yanni. But it's definitely ordinary, non-dual, limitless, definitely, and actionless. This is the hard and fast conviction, Liberation is an appearance, not an actual becoming. This is also very nice. Liberation is an appearance, so it's mithya. Liberation occurs in mithya, and it's an appearance shift of identity, or an appearance becoming what you always have been, okay? So because the individual was never not awareness, so in that sense, it's not a real, actual becoming or claiming or realizing or gaining or accomplishing, okay? It's not really actual anything. It's just realize, oh my God. So I have always been this consciousness. Very simple. Becomes means the jiva owns its limitlessness, meaning freedom. So this becoming means that finally enough, you accept the statements of the scriptures on moksha. So we are in contact with the scriptures, and then one day you say, okay, I surrender. Now I own it. I accept it. Okay, my limitless nature. And it's so funny that we tend to resist it, until one day we own it. No rebirth means this person is not affected by change. Okay, this is another insight of James. He likes to see rebirth as change, in the meaning to say that change occurs from a moment to moment, and every moment the jiva is dying for what it was and being born for new experience, new thoughts, okay, new moments. So it is a experience come and go, rebirth, births come and births go, births coming, births and go, new thoughts coming, thoughts go. This is the cycle, and James likes to present rebirth more in this micro level. It is change, no change anymore. Because if you identify with the body-mind, you're going to feel what? I am changing. This is another joke from James. Oh, lots of change here. Right? You heard about that. There's a lot of change here. Right? So self-knowledge means, no, there is no change happening. So I feel like calling my friends to say that there are a lot of change when I'm firmly identified with that, with change, meaning to say the 5 sheaths, my experiential personality, my intellect, and so on. Everything here is changed. The body, the gunas, the guna, the pranas, everything is changed. And I say, oh my God, I'm changed. Sometimes I'm changed for better, for worse. But the jiva, once it owns its limitless nature, and then there is no change really happening, okay? The change belongs to the body-mind complex, to mithya. So the idea that liberation is something, it's an event, it's a becoming event, is mithya, is an illusion, because there was no question. It reminds me of Ramana Maharaj, when people were going to ask him about realization, liberation. He said, is there a moment that the self is not liberated? Is there a moment that consciousness is not realized? Okay, and the person, of course, will not understand those telegraphic pointers of Ramana, you know? But is there a moment that the self is not realized? The self is not actualized? Okay, so we go into some summary. The self is hidden in plain sight. The scripture says that Satyam, consciousness, and limitless, yeah, Satchitananda, yeah, is hidden in the cave of the heart, as Ramana Maharaj used to say. So people used to ask Ramana, where is the self? And the people are still superimpose the physical body on the self, okay, or trying to find the self on the physical body. And then they go into those, and oh, it should be a place in time and space in which the self is located, a location for the self. And then Ramana used to say, is on the cave of the heart. Oh, okay, my heart, on the left side. They say, no, on the right side, okay? So here it's said, I don't know if this is a commentary of Swami P or Swami or James Swartz. It says that the cave of the heart is the five sheaths, the koshas, okay? Which is a nice way to put it, because the self is hidden, not in a specific location. It's hidden in our day-to-day experience of life, to the extent that we project or superimpose the I to our experience. You know, oh, I am cold, I am this, I am fat, I am high, I am low, I am depressed, I am clever, I am sharp, I. So the I spreads itself on those five koshas, you know. I am painful, you know, oh, I have a stomach ache and I am paining. So all this superimposition of the self on the body, you know, it's a way to say, what is the self? It's hidden. It's hidden because it spreads through the five koshas, you understand? It is like superimposed on all of our human experience. Why? Because we say, I this, I that, and I'm always relating to my experience, all levels of experience. I'm throwing my I to those. And then when is the I? What is the location? It's all over the place. It's all through the five koshas. However, it is not hidden. It is all pervasive. It pervades everything, and it enlivens everything. It you know, infuse the five koshas with the pranas and the energy and the livelihood. You know, so it's there as the substratum of the five koshas. And then say, however, it's not really hidden. It's available. It's available, and this is the best one. It does not imply space. No, sorry, John. It does not imply space, but it means the self is something other than the sheets. Okay, so it's it's hidden in the heart, cave of the heart, and the five sheaths. It does not imply time and space or location. It does not imply location, but it means that the self is not something. This is one of the pointers. Okay, it's something other than this experience. Okay. But at the same time, it is something that is pervading and enlivening and providing these five koshas with livelihood to experience through those different levels. You understand? So it's not located anywhere, but it's not really five sheaths as we know, but it's not hidden, because it is the substratum, or it is that by which the five koshas can be seen and experienced. However, it's not actually hidden. Why? This self is always available as what? As the witness of all these different levels of human experience. So how so this self is hidden like in the cave of the heart, which is not a location, but it's hidden because it's somehow, it's not seen easily because of its subtlety. It's the most subtle of the subtle, okay? It's there, the 5 sheets are being manifest, and it's not hidden because why? Because it's always there as the seer, as the experiencer, as the witness, as the light of consciousness in which all human experience are witnessed. So we know our experience and we know what we know. And this is all due to the grace of this consciousness, okay, this self. Available as the witness of everything of the sheets. If it's not present, the sheets cannot be known. Very nice. So there are two parts in it. If this conscious existence is not present, so these 5 sheets cannot have any existence, and therefore it cannot be witnessed. You understand? Because without consciousness, conceding conscious existence to every and all phenomena we see in the cosmos, so all these phenomena are out of existence. They are not there, okay? And furthermore, you know, consciousness, if it's negated, you know, if it's not present, and then all these supposed phenomena cannot be witnessed. So if this self is not present, the world cannot be known, okay? And the world would not even exist in order to be known. To say I am conscious of my body, mind, condition itself means that the self is present and experienced at all times. How so? As the simple 1-letter word called I, and the word that we love the most, the word that we speak the most. Experience is one, but it consists of 2 parts, consciousness and objects. Thought it is ever present. It is hidden because of one's attention goes to the objects appearing in consciousness. Okay, I'm going to do some editing here. Experience is one, but it consists of 3 parts. Okay, it consists of consciousness, objects, and the agent or the instrument which allows consciousness to experience and know objects. So experience, because it's talking in terms of experience, it needs to have an experiencing agent, okay? Consciousness is not an experiencing agent, you know? We say experience is one, but truly experience is composed of 3 factors, okay? Consciousness, the objects of experience, and the instrument of experience that we could say the Jivatma, the agent, okay? So we have these 3 principles, consciousness, Jivatma, and the object. Thought it's ever present. It appears to be hidden because one's attention goes to the objects appearing in it. So this is one thing. Consciousness does not have organs of perception. The Jiva has, and then the Jiva is the one who wants to find out what is this business about finding consciousness that's said to liberate someone from suffering. So it's always present. It appears to be hidden to whom? To the Jiva, because Jiva's attention goes where? Goes to the objects which appears within itself, okay? So it's ever present. It appears to be hidden. But now the self appears to be hidden because Jiva's attentions go to the world, but in due time, it learns to retreat from the world. The sense organs, you know, one's attention, pull them from the world, and then start contemplate on the self. But then once that happens, the attention goes to the instrument of knowledge and experience. One starts looking into my body-mind complex, my emotions, my feelings, my intellect, my notions, my inquiry, my contemplations. So this is all about the instrument of knowledge, the agent, okay? The attention, even when it's no longer in the world, if the attention is too fixated in the experiencing agent, yet consciousness remains hidden. You get what I'm trying to point out? So, because even if the yoga withdraw from the world, but still too much focused on the body mind, on the intellectual sheets or psychological, mental, emotional, if it remains more there on the, even in the Anandamaya kosha, if the yoga remains too much, okay, fixated with those experience of Sattva Guna, okay, the self remains still hidden. You understand? So in which way the self can be revealed? If one's attention, is no longer, where is that? Yeah. Attention goes to objects appearing in it. So the object can be the physical, but then the object becomes very subtle. We know the body-mind complex is an object, and then the very intellect has to objectify its subtle experience that, of course, subjectively we've seen it's very intellect, and then only then the self is going to be disclosed, okay, as it is when our attention is away from the world out there, and then it stays a little bit confusing the self with my inner world, my inner work, my thoughts, feelings, contemplations, ideas, and experience, sublime experience. All of that has to be, left behind so that the self appears as it is. What is the self? The self is the light in which all of this appears, right? The light of consciousness in which the world, the gross world and the subtle world appears. And it's going to be disclosed. It's going to be revealed. No longer hidden when one's attention turns to my true self, pure consciousness as it is, my very I. If you see an object, a tree, for example, and you ask what you see, you will say, I see a tree. You will not say, I see light and the tree. So in the following this analogy I'm doing, we can say, I see a tree. I could say, no, I see myself, my instruments of knowledge, and I see the tree. So now I see my instruments because I'm objectifying my jiva, okay? But then farther down the road, I say, I see the tree, I see the knowing agent, the experiencing agent with its sense organ, and I see the light of consciousness which shines, enlivening my intellect, and shine its light through the sense organ so that I can capture the world. Okay, and then I'm having the whole picture going through the instruments of knowledge. So I say, I see the light, I see the instrument by which this light reaches the world, captures the tree, and has the knowledge of the tree. And then we have a complete understanding or vision of the Drisha Viveka. I see consciousness, I see the instruments, and I see the world. You experience the tree and you assume the light, even though you experience it. If you say, I feel bad, you experience the tree and assume the light. Yeah, assuming you discount the light, huh? No, you don't count the light. Huh? Is that what it means? You experience the tree. I see light in the tree. You experience the tree and you assume the light, even though you experience it. Even thought you experience it. If you say, I feel, I did not get that. Help me with that phrase, please.
it means you know the light is there, but you don't actually register it. You just assume it.
Okay.
So you know it's there. It's very obvious that it's there, but because it's so obvious, you don't even see it really.
Yeah,
in plain sight.
But he's saying that from the standpoint of the Yanni that assumes that it's there because it has the knowledge.
I don't think so, because after he says that I feel bad, you experience the feeling, but you do not acknowledge awareness.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think he does a similitude, maybe. What do you think?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you experience the tree, and the light is there, even though you experience it.
Because he means that
the thing is,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, if that word assume would be discount the light, it would be clear to me. That's why I say you believe that the meaning of the word is to discount the light. Because if I change that word, if you experience the tree, but most everyone discount the light because now our focus out there on the tree. Even though I experience consciousness. I don't know about you guys. We experience consciousness, okay? Not objectively, but you experience in two ways: by knowledge, by understanding, okay? That any experience requires consciousness in order to be experienced, and also because one gets a sense, a feel to this presence of consciousness, you understand? And then you experience things, and this goes when I'm walking my land and this and that, I see the beauty of everything here, and I see the beauty of consciousness shining in my intellect, you understand? It is a very fine, subtle kind of experience, you understand? But yet is an experience. What I'm experiencing the reflection of consciousness on the intellect that is somehow resolved by jnana. So I know that I'm experiencing consciousness, the light that illumines and reveals the beauty, of this piece of land, for example. You understand? So if you say you experience the tree, but somehow you discover the light, even though you experience the light, you experience consciousness. We experience the light every time, but we don't pay attention. Is that more or less what it means? If you say, I feel bad, you experience the feeling and consciousness. Otherwise, without which you would not have the experience of feeling bad. But you do not acknowledge consciousness, even though it is included in your experience. So consciousness is always there. We experience the feel bad, and we experience consciousness. And then if you tell somebody unprepared without this training of ours, you say, hey, pay attention, because you're experiencing this bad feeling and emotion, okay? You experience a bad emotion there, but you experience consciousness as well. And the person is going to say, so who cares? Consciousness feels very bad right now. Why? Because the feeling bad and consciousness, they got mixed up. So it does not help unless the individual has already done some of the discrimination and then knows, yes, you experience feeling bad, nice, but be it note that you experience consciousness. And by the way, your consciousness is not changing with your feeling bad. Your consciousness does not change to the experience. With the experience, your consciousness is free and independent, limitless, okay? And then immediately the jiva can, recompose and say, okay, yes, now I remember. I remember what I am. I am this consciousness, and I'm experiencing this emotion, but consciousness is free and limitless. It is ananta. And then one jumps, you jump the fence from mithya to satya, and then you feel much safer and much better. You understand? Two ways to negate the sheaths. There is an experiential approach. The external world can be negated by withdrawing the instrument through which the world is known, the sense organs. The internal world then is resolved by sleep and nirvikalpa samadhi. So I say, no, I'm done. I'm fed up with the world. It's a source of trouble. In the TEs, with some exceptions, you need to try to avoid. You know why you need, who and what you need to try to avoid not to get into trouble? The human jivas, they have egos. They are source of conflict and trouble. That's why now I'm having a good time here. I relate with my chickens. You know, they don't have egos. And Linda have the dogs and cats, who knows what more. So the external world can be negated by withdrawing the instrument. Oh yes, now I am a yogi, or I am a deep sleeper. I'm sleeping 22 hours every day. So tell us your secret. And then a guy tell, oh, no, the latest drugs they have created, you know, puts you to sleep very nice for 22 hours, you know. So I'm resolving the world, I'm negating the world, withdrawing from the world due to some sleeping pills. But it can be a yoga as well, developing the power of nirvikalpa samadhi. Or otherwise, we have a few hours every night in which the world is removed. Okay, so this is the experiential approach of rejecting the world, negating the world. Okay, because the world is the source of trouble. Especially the other human beings with big egos. In both sleep and samadhi, we do not experience any object. However, unless I'm conscious, I cannot say that there are no objects. So in deep sleep and in samadhi, there are no objects. Objects are not being experienced. Okay, but however, unless I am conscious, I cannot say that there are no objects, okay, being experienced. So we say that there are objects being experienced and there are no objects being experienced in deep sleep and samadhi from the perspective of the awaker, the Jiva Atma. The Jiva Atma, the awaker, is the experience entity, but when a certain state, mental state comes, the tamas predominates, and then this jiva does not experience any reflection in its mind. Okay, there are no reflections, so there are no objects. And then from the standpoint of the jiva atma, the awaker, okay, the mind of the jiva, okay, there is no word. And then you say there is no object. So deep sleep in samadhi, there is no object. But guess what? There is something other than the awaker, no, the Vishwa, other than the intellect, that is consciousness, okay, which is aware that there were no objects. Otherwise, we would never know. We can say that, oh, it's the prana jiva, but it is consciousness. Consciousness is something other than the two experiencing agents of duality. We have the awaker and the dreamer. They experience object. The deep sleeper does not experience object. And then we say, okay, there are no objects, but we can only say there are no objects from the standpoint of consciousnness. Okay, you need to be conscious to say there are no objects. From the standpoint of the jiva, the ego, it says, no way, there are no objects. There were no object and there was no subject. I am the subject, okay? Because the jiva does not know that the true subject is consciousness, the absolute seer, right? So this is the dualistic approach, is based on the incorrect assumption that the self and the world inhabited the same order of reality. Therefore, it's believed that the presence of one means the absence of the other. So this dualistic experiential approach is based on this assumption that the self and the world, they inhabit the same order of reality. What it means, okay? It means that if the world is present, the self is removed, okay? In order to bring the self, I need to remove the world. So they cannot coexist because they believe that they both belong to the same order and one neutralizes the other. But it's not the fact, because they are two orders within the same order, such as pervading mithya without ever being affected by mithya and actually affecting mithya. Maya keeps affecting mithya and jivas keep affecting mithya, interacting with jagat, but consciousness remains as the substratum, okay, pervading everything, not being affected, but at the same time, mithya depends on this satya. So the self is there, mithya, the world is there, jiva, jagat, ishvara are there, and all these three factors depends on consciousness. Consciousness is the only free and independent principle. And people believe that, no, if I need to know the self, I need to remove the world. So I need to become a yogi, so that I am in nirvikalpa samadhi all the time. Because in order to have the self, the world has to be removed. And then Vedanta comes and say, hey, you don't need to remove the world. You need to pay attention to your experience and not discount the light of consciousness in which the world appears and disappears in the night, appears in the morning. Just pay attention to the light. And then you see that the world does not obstruct consciousness, okay? And consciousness have no problem with the world because it's not affected by the world. And then there are, let's just finish this paragraph here. And then there is the inquiry guided by the teachings of Vedanta, which is not experiential, is not dualistic. Vedanta asks how it is possible to negate the world experience. Vedanta asks how it is possible to negate the world experience for this reason. When you awaken from sleep and when awaken from samadhi, samadhi ends, which it does because it's just an experience and the nature of experience is beginning and end. The world is still there. So Vedanta is going to challenge this notion because even if you remove the world, when you get up in the morning, still the world is there with your changing of mental state. From sleeper, you became an awaker now, and then the world comes back. Or if you go in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when one of those big flies from Brazil bite you, and then you come out of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and then by doing so, you see the world came back as a big mosca. So the world is still there. If the world was not there, you could say that, yes, by the means of yoga, I have destroyed the world. No, I have really removed the world. But no, the world remains there as it is. It means that you have no power to remove the world, okay? And the world belongs to Ishvara. Ishvara puts it up and then brings it down in due time. Vedanta says that experientially, you can never negate the world, okay? Vedanta says that you can negate the world, but only in terms of understanding that this world is not really real, okay? Meaning to say that it does not exist, not quite that. It means to say that this world, okay, although it exists, it's not absolutely real. It's a suborder of reality created by superimposition of namarupas, names, colors and forms, configurations, and so on. Shwara, Jiva, Jagat. This is just due to the power of mind, of Maya, the big mind, that creates these infinite numbers of superimpositions of namarupas. So the world is there, it exists, but it's not the absolute reality. It's not the the ultimate reality. Therefore, it's better not to be caught up. It's something that comes and goes, appears and disappears, and changes from moment to moment. Okay, the only reality is this light of consciousness, which illumines and reveals this changing phenomenal world. Okay, so Vedanta negates the world, not to say that it does not exist. The world exists as mithya. Okay, it's an order of reality. It's a superimposition. Okay, it is there the same way the rings and every ornament of gold, they do exist. Okay, there's a name and a form. So the world is there. The world exists, but it is an apparent reality. Okay, and then we would have to go back and remember the teachings about what is mithya. No? It's something that is there, it exists, but it's not absolutely real. Okay, and reality, by definition, metaphysically speaking, is that which is always ever present, never ever change in time. Okay, in fact, reality is beyond time when we really look deep into the nature of conscious existence. So Vedanta negates the world by, in terms of giving, I say, in terms of giving reality to it. Okay, forgot the English word. Assigning reality to it. So Vedanta is going to say, no, there's no reality, absolute reality. It does exist, but it is mithya. So you like mithya, go, interact, play with it, but know that, it's just like what? It's just like the cardboard chair of Swami Paramarthananda. You like these things, so enjoy. It is made of cardboard. This chair, never sit on it, never take it serious, never, believe that it's going to deliver, okay? Because it's like a cardboard chair, okay? The world and the self are one. The world and the self are one, but not the same, okay? Although they exist in separate orders of reality, of the only one reality, which is Satya, there is no conflict between them. This is very subtle concepts, okay? The world itself are one, okay? Yes, of course, because the world happens within the scope of the self, okay? It's there, okay? It's like we have to all the time look into terms of analogy, the screen, okay? The screen and the projection, superimposition of namarupas and dynamically moving on the screen of consciousness, on the reflecting mirror of consciousness. All those analogies we have to bring to light to understand this statement. The world and the self are one in the sense that the world is just the self. The image is just the screen, okay? Everything is happening in the light of conscious existence, and everything is it, but somehow Maya does this power. And they exist in separate orders of the same reality, because when we say about reality, we immediately say reality is that which is real, okay? So there are two orders of reality. One is reality, and the other is apparently real. One is real, absolutely real, and the other is an appearance, okay? The appearance is not the real reality, but we say there are two orders of reality. One is real, one is unreal, okay? One is truth, and the other is just an illusion, okay? So there are two orders of reality, yes and no. There is only one reality. Therefore, we often see this statement. Satya and Mithya, they are two orders within the only one order of reality, because the nature of reality is non-duality. There is only Satya, and then we have this appearance called Mithya, which is there superimposed from the standpoint of the jiva on consciousness. So there is no conflict between these two orders. In the same way, there are no conflicts between the images on the screen, on the reflections on the mirror, and the mirror. There are no conflicts. Nothing affects the mirror, nothing affects the screen. The screen of consciousness remains pure. The reflecting mind of Ishvara, reflecting Jagat, remains untouched, unconcerned about whatsoever place in that reflection. Okay, so that is our nature. There is no conflict between that which is reflecting on us and us in our Satya absolute nature. Okay, next week, well, there is, I thought we are going to finish. There is a little bit, but it's getting late. We finish it up next week, and then we'll move into the chapter 4. What is the chapter 4 about? Let's see here. Discrimination. So we're gonna have to do some work. Huh? We're gonna have to leave behind all this philosophy and do some work. Okie dokie. We meet again soon. The weeks, they are flying. Huh? When we see it's Monday, when we see it's Wednesday, and then weekend, I have a lot of Vedanta teachings as well in Portuguese language. Otherwise, I would be inviting you guys, of course. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purna Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, my friends. Namaste. Arrivederci. And
Thank you.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Arlindo. Bye now.
Thank you.
Orlando.
Thank you.